Welcome to the Shenandoah Valley Civil War Museum. The museum is housed in this exceptional Greek Revival structure, which served continuously as the Frederick County Courthouse from the time of its completion in 1840 until the 1960s. The first courthouse in Winchester was built in 1744, at the time of the town's founding, and was the first courthouse built west of the Blue Ridge Mountains. George Washington spent roughly half his time here from ages 16 to 26. During that time, he worked as a surveyor for Lord Fairfax, served as a colonel in the British military during the French and Indian War, and was elected to his first public office on this site in 1758 as the Frederick County representative to the Virginia House of Burgesses. Prior to the Civil War, in October of 1859, abolitionist John Brown stood trial for his raid on Harper's Ferry. Although held in Charlestown, West Virginia, Frederick County judge and Winchester resident Richard Parker presided over the trial. On October 31, 1859, Brown was convicted of all counts including treason against the state of Virginia, and Judge Parker sentenced him to be hanged. During the Civil War, the town of Winchester, Virginia, changed hands as many as 72 times, and there was little civilian government or court cases. The courthouse was used for other purposes, such as a hospital, prison, and a barracks. The first major battle that the locals experienced was the First Battle of Kernstown on March 23, 1862. Cornelia Peake MacDonald was a local woman who lived about a quarter of a mile away and described the state of the town after the battle.
Every available place was turned into a hospital. The courthouse was full, the vacant banks, and even the churches. I went to the courthouse. The porch was strewed with dead men. Some had papers pinned on their coats telling who they were. All had the capes of their greatcoats turned over to hide their still faces. But their poor hands, so pitiful they look and so helpless. Busy hands they had been, some of them, but their work was over. Soon men came and carried them away to make room for others who were dying inside and would soon be brought and laid in their places. I wanted to be useful in the courthouse and tried my best, but at the sight of one face that the surgeon uncovered, I thought I would faint. It was that of Captain Jones of a Tennessee regiment. A ball had struck him on the side of the face, taking away both eyes and the bridge of his nose. The surgeon asked me if I would wash the wound. I tried to say yes, but the thought of it made me so faint that I could only stagger toward the door. As I passed, my dress brushed up against a pile of amputated limbs heaped up near the door. The courthouse also served as a prison for captured soldiers from both the North and the South. Sergeant H.T. Pex of the 118th Pennsylvania Infantry was captured at the Battle of Shepherdstown on September 20th, 1863, and was temporarily held in this courthouse. He wrote about marching from Shepherdstown to Winchester and then of his captivity in Winchester.
In Winchester, we were consigned to the courthouse and the enclosure between it and the street. There were already in those precincts a crowd of some 300 rebels, stragglers, conscripts, and the riffraff a provost guard can pick up. A miserable lot, who did not fraternize with our men, and who were so filthy in clothing and habits that our men remained of choice in the open yard, without tents or blankets, even during nights of hoar-frost, to avoid contact with those in the courthouse, which we were otherwise free to occupy. Rations issued to us here were raw beef and flour, but no arrangements were provided for cooking, not even a stick of wood for fire. At our request, the officer of the guard permitted one of our non-commissioned officers to go, under guard, about the town to bargain for the cooking of the food. Owing to restricted diet and exposure, without any covering whatever from the frosty night air, all of our men suffered more or less with dysentery. One morning, we were brought into the courthouse one by one to sign the parole papers.
All the Union prisoners signed parole papers, promising not to harm the Confederate cause. Then they were marched out of Winchester. When they reached Harper's Ferry the next day, they were transferred back to Union forces under a flag of truce.
On the second floor, you will see the names of many other prisoners held here. Private John Richards was captured on July 20th, 1863. He died on October 13th, 1863, at the Belle Island Prison in Richmond, Virginia. After the Third Battle of Winchester, as many as 1,000 Confederate prisoners filled the courthouse and the fenced yard of the building. A cannon was trained on the back door to deter escape. The second floor features the graffiti walls, including the Jeff Davis curse, and a nationally recognized collection of Civil War artifacts which illustrates the common life of a soldier. You will also see interpretive panels detailing the history of the Civil War in Winchester and the Shenandoah Valley. Before you leave the exhibit, feel free to ring the courthouse bell, and thank you for visiting the Shenandoah Valley Civil War Museum. The Shenandoah Valley Civil War Museum is owned and operated by the Shenandoah Valley Battlefields Foundation. To learn more, call 540-740-4545 or visit our website, shenandoahatwar.org.